On the night of August 1st, 2018, a tragic event unfolded in Griffin, Georgia, when Mary Katherine Higdon called 911, claiming she had accidentally shot her boyfriend, Steven Freeman. What followed was a complex legal battle that highlighted issues of domestic violence, mental health, and the intricacies of the criminal justice system. This article delves into the details of Steven Freeman's death, the subsequent investigation, and the trial that ultimately led to Higdon's acquittal. Steven Freeman and Mary Katherine Higdon's relationship began in high school, where they were known as a seemingly happy couple. Both enjoyed outdoor activities like hunting and fishing, which initially made them appear compatible to friends and family. However, as time went on, their relationship began to show signs of strain and toxicity. Despite their shared interests, the relationship between Freeman and Higdon became increasingly volatile. Friends of the couple testified that they noticed frequent arguments and troubling behavior. Freeman's friends described Higdon as possessive and unstable, while Higdon's defense later painted Freeman as abusive and controlling. On the night of August 1st, 2018, Mary Katherine Higdon placed a frantic 911 call, reporting that she had accidentally shot her boyfriend. During the call, she expressed deep remorse and confusion, stating that she did not know the gun was loaded. When first responders arrived at the scene, they found a chaotic environment. Steven Freeman was gravely injured, and despite efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead shortly before midnight. Higdon was visibly distraught and repeatedly claimed that the shooting was an accident. Steven Freeman was shot in the chest, a wound that proved fatal. The circumstances surrounding the shooting were immediately suspicious to investigators, who noted inconsistencies in Higdon's account and the physical evidence at the scene. Freeman's death sent shockwaves through the community. He was remembered as a hardworking and well-liked individual, and his sudden and violent death left friends and family grappling with grief and disbelief. Mary Katherine Higdon's confessions regarding the shooting of her boyfriend, Steven Freeman, varied significantly over the course of the investigation. Initially, when police arrived at the scene, Higdon claimed that the shooting was accidental. She stated that she was handing the gun to Freeman and did not realize it was loaded when it discharged. This version of events was consistent with her frantic 911 call, where she repeatedly expressed confusion and remorse, insisting that she did not know the gun had a bullet in its chamber. However, this initial account was met with skepticism by investigators due to the chaotic scene they encountered, including food strewn across the kitchen floor, which suggested a possible altercation. During a subsequent police interview, Higdon's story changed. Under intense questioning, she reportedly confessed to shooting Freeman in anger. According to LT, Chris Wilson, who conducted the interview, Higdon admitted that the shooting was not accidental, but rather a result of a heated argument. However, this crucial confession was marred by technical issues, as the recording of the interview was largely inaudible due to feedback, rendering it unusable in court. This discrepancy between her initial claim of an accidental discharge and her later admission of intentional shooting significantly complicated the case. The investigation into Steven Freeman's death began on the night of August 1st, 2018, when police responded to a frantic 911 call from Mary Katherine Higdon. Upon arrival at the scene, officers found a chaotic environment with Freeman gravely injured and Higdon visibly distraught. Initially, Higdon claimed the shooting was accidental, stating she didn't know the gun was loaded when she was handing it to Freeman. However, investigators quickly noticed inconsistencies that raised suspicions about the veracity of her account. As the investigation progressed, forensic evidence played a crucial role in challenging Higdon's version of events. Police discovered food strewn across the kitchen floor, suggesting a possible altercation had occurred before the shooting. Additionally, investigators found cooking grease on the gun's magazine and slide, which prosecutors later argued was proof that the shooting was not accidental. They contended that Higdon had loaded the gun and racked it that night after an argument over the dinner she had prepared. Witness testimonies provided further insight into the couple's relationship and Higdon's familiarity with firearms. Thomas Skinner, a friend of Freeman's, testified that Higdon was well-versed in handling guns, having worked at a sporting goods store selling firearms. This testimony cast doubt on Higdon's claim of accidental discharge. Other witnesses described a toxic relationship between the couple, with Higdon reportedly exhibiting possessive and unstable behavior. A significant development in the investigation came during Higdon's police interview. Detectives claim that Higdon confessed to shooting Freeman in anger during this interrogation. However, this crucial piece of evidence was compromised due to technical issues, as the recording of the interview was largely inaudible due to feedback. This setback forced prosecutors to build their case without the alleged confession, relying instead on the forensic evidence and witness testimonies to support their theory that the shooting was premeditated rather than accidental. Prosecutors argued that the motive for the shooting was rooted in the couple's deteriorating relationship. They suggested that Higdon shot Freeman in a fit of anger after he failed to return home for dinner and ignored her attempts to contact him. Higdon's defense team countered by portraying Freeman as an abusive partner. They presented evidence of past incidents of physical and emotional abuse, arguing that Higdon acted in self-defense. This narrative was supported by text messages and other evidence, though it was contested by the prosecution. Following her confession, Higdon was arrested and charged with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. She was held in custody as the legal process unfolded. The arrest and subsequent charges divided the community. Some believed that Higdon was guilty of premeditated murder, while others saw her as a victim of domestic violence who had acted in self-defense. Mary Katherine Higdon's trial for the murder of Steven Freeman began in June 2019, nearly a year after the fatal shooting. The prosecution's case was built on the premise that Higdon, who had firearms training and worked at a gun shop, intentionally shot Freeman in a fit of anger after a heated argument. They presented forensic evidence, such as cooking grease on the gun and food scattered across the kitchen floor, to suggest that an altercation had occurred before the shooting. Witnesses, including Freeman's friends, testified about Higdon's familiarity with firearms and their tumultuous relationship, painting her as a possessive and unstable individual who had bragged about her knowledge of guns. Higdon's defense team countered these claims by portraying her as a victim of domestic abuse who had acted in self-defense. Taking the stand in her own defense, Higdon tearfully recounted instances of physical and sexual abuse at the hands of Freeman. She described how Freeman had hit her, raped her on 2 occasions, and sent her threatening text messages. Higdon's defense argued that she suffered from battered woman syndrome, which led her to act out of fear for her life during the altercation. They presented expert testimony to support this claim, although the prosecution's expert disputed it, arguing that there was no objective evidence of such abuse. The jury, consisting of 7 women and 5 men, deliberated for about 4 hours before reaching a verdict. Despite the prosecution's strong case and the lack of documented evidence of abuse, the jury found Higdon not guilty on all charges, including malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. The verdict shocked many in the courtroom, including Freeman's family and friends, who believed that Higdon was guilty. District Attorney Benjamin Coker expressed disappointment, but acknowledged the jury's decision, emphasizing the subjective nature of the battered woman defense and the challenges it posed for the prosecution. The trial's outcome highlighted the complexities of domestic violence cases and the difficulties in proving intent beyond a reasonable doubt. Higdon's acquittal underscored the importance of understanding the psychological impact of abusive relationships and the legal standards required to establish self-defense. The case also sparked discussions about the criminal justice system's handling of domestic violence allegations and the need for better support and documentation for victims. As Higdon returned home to her family, the community remained divided, grappling with the broader implications of the verdict and the tragic loss of Steven Freeman. In the aftermath of the trial, Steven Freeman's mother, Jennifer Freeman, spoke publicly about her son's death and the trial's outcome. She expressed profound grief and disappointment, believing that her son had been a victim of domestic violence and that his death had not received the justice it deserved. Jennifer Freeman has since become an advocate for domestic violence awareness, sharing her son's story to highlight the complexities and challenges faced by victims of abuse. She hopes that her advocacy will prevent similar tragedies and ensure that other victims receive the support and justice they need. The death of Steven Freeman and the subsequent trial of Mary Katherine Higdon is a tragic and complex case that underscores the difficulties in addressing domestic violence and the nuances of the criminal justice system. While Higdon was ultimately acquitted, the case left a lasting impact on the community and highlighted the need for greater awareness and support for victims of abuse. As the community continues to heal, the memory of Steven Freeman serves as a poignant reminder of the far-reaching consequences of domestic violence.